Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. I hope you're all having an amazing day. We are here doing a puzzle rush and it feels like it's been absolutely ages since we've last done one of these. So I am truly, I think, looking forward to this. I don't know what I'm doing on this puzzle. It's the third puzzle and I don't know what I'm doing on it. We probably just move here, right? We probably just move here. Yeah, we're hitting the rook there. So we can just, that's so sneaky. Anyway, I'm feeling good. I've had some good results recently. Some bad ones as well, but we'll focus on the positive. So hopefully we can have a go at reaching our high score, which is 54. I actually checked, rather than just making up numbers for once. So we will see how it goes. Anyway, yes, I'm sure you all are aware of how this works, but for those that might be new, we generally fly through the first few puzzles up to about 25-ish, I'd say, is where it starts getting to thinking stage. You know, these ones that we start off with are usually like mating ones, mating twos. This one's a mating three, but whatever. So yeah, usually we just fly through those. You don't need the same mate explained 10,000 times every video. So yes, and then when I think something's interesting, I will explain it to the best of my abilities. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy this format. This is what it is, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, I played in the Yorkshire League last night, which was very fun. We're top of the league at the minute. It's close, but we're fighting for promotion. So we really needed a win. We brought out a very strong team, and it was close. It was very close. It helped that one of their players did not show up. So that gave us a point to start with. Anyway, I check here and then take. At the minute we're pinned, so you've got to throw in the check. They take, and we just trade off queens and go up a piece. So we had to win, which was stressful. But we got the job done eventually. I ended up getting a win, which was nice. Probably shouldn't have been a win. I thought maybe more along the lines of a draw, perchance. But I was happy with a win, and that's getting me ever closer to my goal of 1800, which is becoming more and more of a reality. And if you're not aware, yes, my online rating is 2000-ish. But when you play over the board, especially in England, we have the ECF, which is the English Chess Federation. We have a separate rating, which is usually slightly lower. Maybe 200 to 300 points lower than chess.com. This is quite cool. You give the check here, and the king's only escape square is h3, at which point this bishop comes in for a sniper, and for the mate. That's quite nice. Yeah, so the ECF, and I think generally the over-the-board ratings are lower than the online ones, not only because you play more online games, but because I don't know, actually. Because there are fewer people? I don't really know. Statistics was never my forte, but hey, that's that. So I ended up winning, and we will go over that eventually. I've got a backlog of games that we need to analyze on the regular videos, which I'm looking forward to some very cool games coming up on there. So stay tuned. Where do we go? Oh, we check here. You got to be careful. The bishop covers g5. And I've been studying a bit and trying to work at the minute on pawn structures a bit. Where do we go here? They're threatening mate in several ways. We can't go. We just take, right? We just take? How do we stop mate, though? How do we stop mate, though? We've not got any checks for king e2, right? We don't have any checks. king e2. We could try like knight there, I guess, or knight there, but that doesn't seem to do anything. I am slightly worried about king e2, unless there's something I'm missing. Because the rook is not enough to prevent mate, and we don't really have any more checks. Because the king's now covering f3, which is annoying. Am I being silly here? I feel like I'm being very silly. I feel silly. Why do I feel silly? I'm missing something for sure. I'm definitely missing something. This is great. We're on puzzle 30 and I'm stumped. Very, very stumped. I would like a knight here to take this and then fork, but that's not possible. We could try like knight d6, but that's just not going to work because like rook d1 seems good. Maybe. But then takes. Oh, but that wouldn't be nice for them. I don't think, actually. I'm very, very stumped. I'm ashamed of myself here, actually. We could try this, but that's not actually... no, that's what we do, actually. We just take the rook and then force the queens off. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. And then we just up material. That took longer than it should have. Why can't we just take this bishop? I think, you know, we are, because queen takes knight. Queen takes knight, but then surely we have something, right? And we take the bishop, yeah, so we can just take this. So the problem is this one is you've got to calculate what goes after the trades, which is easier said than done. Because it's very tempted to say, oh, it is an even trade. Let's ignore it, right? But you've got to calculate an extra step beyond and realize that after check, you can just win the bishop, which is great. This is just mate, I believe. Is this mating? I don't think so. Actually, no, it looks it. Bishop e6. They go back, then you just take this bishop with mate. They go there, you just throw in this, right? And then that's not only mate, but it wins the queen as well. So yeah, that looks like a good move to me. This is a nice little sacrifice. You draw out the king into a position where it's actually a back rank, and then you just slide in with the rook. Very, very cool stuff. Or they go there and make life awkward. At which point we probably just take. And then if they try king g1, we throw in this check before we go for the back rank. Very important to throw in that check there to defend your rooks. Okay. A king. We have... Okay, so we have 2 rooks and a knight against a queen. I don't see why we can't just take this. They have a check, but then the knight just comes back. Knights are very good at defending queens. Because they themselves can block the horizontal checks, and then their reach can block the diagonal checks as well, which is quite cool. I don't see why I can't just take this. In fact, I think you have to take it. And then the puzzle is, I guess, just coming back here. That is the only way to save the knight, so yeah. And then if we go there, then the rook can come to e4, and then we're good. There we go. We take this with check and then just take this. Pretty simple. It's got 1 defender. We take the defender with check. It's got no defenders, right? It's maths. It is just maths. Okay. Now, so if we ever get a check on this diagonal, it's going to be mate, right? Because we have g2 as a square covered by the pawn. So what we do, we just take the bishop with a threat on the queen. The queen has to go somewhere, or and it has to defend the rook at the same time. So even if it goes like there, we just take. And then they either give mate by taking the rook, or we're just up a rook, basically. They decide to take, and then we just go for the check. We take with the queen, because after queen takes, pawn takes, the king is not close enough to stop the pawn from promoting. Bosh. Okay, what have we got here? Some stuff. I'm tempted to take this and then just be in a great position. We're up a rook after all, so if we just trade off these pieces, we're just up a rook, right? And we're just going to win. So that seems simple enough. The queen doesn't have any checks because this pawn's covered. So I don't see why we wouldn't just do that. Yeah. And they go for the trade-off, and we're just going to win that endgame. We've got to be careful here because we don't actually want to check them too much, because that could just give them time to get their pieces in order. What we can do is just go h7 and allow rook h4 and then knight h3. X-rays the pawn through the rook. They can throw in the check, but then we just go king h2, I guess, and then promote, right? We do indeed. Okay, puzzle 39. We're getting somewhere now. We are getting somewhere now. I guess the question would be, which rook do we take this pawn with? Which I think is a valid question. If you take this way, you've got them on the same file, which means they're better at giving checks horizontally. But if you take them this way, then they're going to be on the same rank, which means it's better checks vertically, right? And with this pawn here, I think it's more likely to be take with this one. The problem is the king can escape to h1. Key point. This bishop controls d1, right? So normally we wouldn't actually be threatening mate this way, because the king could wander off this way. But once we move this rook here, so we take, they go there, check, king there, there. This bishop's actually controlling the escape square, so it just works. And then if they ever manage to escape this way, then we could potentially take h2. But I don't think they can ever actually get to that point because we're cutting off the squares. There we go. There we go. Okay. I really want to push that. In fact, can we just take that bishop? Taking the bishop, you probably take the bishop with the rook, right? Probably take the bishop with the rook. And then I guess rook takes is actually quite scary. Rook takes is actually quite scary, to be brutally honest. Because they're threatening a back rank mate, which we have to be very careful of. So we take again and then push h7. King h7 I think is a good move at that point. And if they take, we take. If we take, they take back. So I don't think that actually works. Okay. Can we throw in this check? Potentially. I don't really see the point, to be honest. Can we not just do this? I really don't see why we can't do this. Because they can take, right? But then we take with devastating consequences. Because then we've got rook d7 as well. Actually, no, we don't have rook d7 because the bishop's still on that diagonal. So if we just push, right? And then they take. We take. King up. And then something. Something indeed. Maybe we just go like rook d8 at that point. Threaten mate. Could be quite nice. But then the king escapes. No, the king... Yeah, king goes h6. Then check. King down. Ugh, it seems weak. It seems weak. But I do think d7 could be nice. Because if bishop takes, right, you just take back with the rook. And you're threatening both an attack on the queen and queen h7 mate. Not mate straight away, but eventually. So that looks really nice. That looks really, really nice. But, I mean, we're just up a rook at that point, right? We're just up a rook. There's no denying that we're just up a rook. I want to go with d7. I don't think it has the same sting if we go bishop take, like queen takes or rook takes, because of the mating threats. So I'm just going for it. Yes! That's an interesting one. They take back with the queen, but we just take with the rook, right? And now this pawn's no longer pinned, so we can actually take the bishop. Cool. That was kind of scary. Bit scary. Here, I really want to go rook e7. I think that just looks nice. It looks appetizing. If the king goes somewhere... I don't know. If the king goes somewhere, then maybe just check, right? And then we've got stuff like this. And then like a double check here could be very cool, actually. So, rook e7, king there, rook there. If they go back, this is just mate, right? So they keep going across, but then you've got check. King there, and then you've got a double check with the queen for mate, actually, I just believe, which is insane. So the question is if they take, right? We've figured out they can't ignore it. If they take, we have check, which actually just forces mate, right? Because we go there and there, because this is controlled by the knight. This is controlled by the knight. So they have to actually retreat. At which point, queen there is just mate. So I'm going for this. That was very cool. I like that puzzle a lot. They're going for the boring one, unfortunately. I would have liked to see that discovered double mate. But alas, not going to happen. I really want to try just bishop f6. It looks quite nice. With the idea that takes it has the discovered attack on the rook on a1. I don't see what's wrong with that. If they try to attack the knight, then we just take, right? Just bishop f6 looks nice. If they go knight g4, which is a potential option for them, yeah, we just take the bishop, right? We just take the bishop. Do we? Yeah, we just take the bishop. Bishop knight g4, take the bishop. If they take, we take back with the queen, and the rook is still undefended, so they don't actually have time to take this back. And again, if they take the knight, then we just take the rook, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sirree. Okay. This looks tactical. This looks very tactical and quite cool, actually. That being said, can I actually find anything? Can I actually find anything? I don't think this works one bit. I'm not convinced. Okay. So we need something else. I don't think this works. Because even if we try something like knight g4, then they have the opportunity to play f6, which I think defends quite nicely. Because you are down a rook at that point, so you're going to be down a piece, basically. At that point. But this queen is looking quite nice. Maybe we just go there first. Maybe we just go there first. Because, I mean, f6, we just take, right? And then they've got to give up the exchange. With horrifying consequences. And if they try something like f5, then this is just mate, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, that looks nice to me. Yeah. I don't think you go there. I think you just take and then cash in. Yeah. Quite cool. Puzzle 44. No major problems so far. I probably shouldn't have said anything. You know I'm going to jinx it now. But it is what it is. There's a fork here. However, there is a slight problem with that. A very, very slight problem with that. Is the puzzle as simple as let's trade everything off? Queen takes, knight takes. King there. Or you could go bishop there, then push. Bishop there, and then push. And you just win, right? You just win. I think that could be the puzzle, but I guess the question is then, what do you do after this? You just take the queen, I guess, right? Yeah, seems pretty simple. Seems pretty simple to me, so yeah. Yeah, that's a weird puzzle. I wouldn't really call that a puzzle. It's just trading off, right? You didn't win anything. You were just trading off and you just had a better position, right? Have we got mate here? Is this like a ladder? Oh, that's quite cool. Is this a ladder? Like the Hikaru check thing. And then you go there for h5 mate. That could be very cool. Unfortunately, b5, I don't think allows that because queen takes. Kind of puts a damper on the whole thing unless you go for like g5. But then something like queen a3 is checking for sure. But then actually no more checks. No more checks. You definitely don't want to go b5, queen b5. Because queen takes you just down a piece. And you've not got any compensation for that. You could try something like... Actually, no, you probably don't want to go king a5 because they would happily sacrifice a pawn, I think, in this situation. King b7. You're walking into bold territory, I guess. Queen c8. Yeah, you don't want to go there because then there, and you just trade off again. So you have to go there. But then that allows that, maybe. All in all, I'm not convinced. I am not convinced, to be honest. I think b5 could be the way to go. But then again, I don't really see anything. I don't really see anything with b5 after queen takes c5. Rook g5, I think I said, right? Queen takes rook g5, check. Then you go there and no more checks. And the threat is this. King there, then check. Then there, then check. Then there, then mate. I want to go b5. Yes. And this is the moment, right? This is the moment. we've got no checks. Realistically, we've got no checks on the dark squares, right? So it has to be rook g5. Queen g4 allows too much of this stuff, which cannot work. So you need the queen here to actually defend these checks. So you go rook g5. Yes! Yes, very, very happy with that. Why can't you just go g6 and just take the knight? Seems like a free piece to me, right? Seems like a free piece to me. Ah, that's tricky. You still just take the knight, right? Every day. Every day. You don't allow this because they attack your knight, and then you give them chance to free things up. So you just take and then take. Puzzle 47. This seems like a free queen to me. Yeah. Right? Not a free queen, to be fair. They have this, but then you just get a free piece. What's the piece situation like, actually? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Ah, we're down a piece. So we've sacrificed something in this position. Okay. Fair enough. But we might get this at the end. Might get that at the end. Maybe. Maybe. Alternatively, we could just take the queen, right? It gets to a similar position. This can't work. Actually. Oh, that's quite tricksy. Actually, knight f3, we have just takes, right? After queen there. And they can't ignore this because we have takes. Ah, very cool. Very cool. That's what's that? Attraction sacrifice? Attraction sacrifice, very cool. Whoa! Oh, the bishop covered that square. No. No, you just take the pawn. You just take the pawn with the queen. No. Okay. Okay, fair play. Fair play. Fair play. That was me being silly. It happens. It happens to everyone. Me more than most, apparently. We have a slight endgame here. This, to me, seems like a trap knight, personally. The problem happens after c3, though. Takes, and then c2, but then you go bishop e3. And you cover the c1 promotion square. The king goes to e5, but then f3 just seems good. Right, they push, takes, and then king d4 works their way in. But they can't do anything because the pawn will just run, right? So we just go there. If they decide, yeah, anything else we would just take with the king and not the bishop. So yeah. My computer is almost out of battery. My plug wasn't plugged in properly. So if that just went dark for you, I apologize. Yeah, and then we go to e3. Yeah. Perfect. Puzzle 48. 2 lives remaining. What will happen? Okay. I would like to take this. That is interesting. That is it interesting? Queen takes is interesting for sure, because then you have takes. Rook takes and then there. But then rook takes. You lose the pawn. So you go there. It seems drawish. Seems draw-ish. And then the other problem with that is that rook takes. Oh no, but then rook takes. Queen takes. And they also have this intermezzo, which is ugly. In fact, they have that anyway. Ooh. Something to be aware of with the discovered check on the queen. Okay. Okay. We could try check, but they always just have like rook g3 to block the checks. So yeah, no. Um, we could try queen e4, but then they have bishop g6, pinning the queen to the king. Not nice. Yeah. I'm not amazingly happy in this position. It's not nice. It's really not nice, actually. What do you do here? What do you do here? Because even if we take, they have this. King up, and then take. Then take, and then take, and then take. And it's a rook for a queen. And it's bad. And it's bad. Do we honestly just go like rook a7? And then just look for mate? But mate doesn't happen because the rook block's covered by the bishop. So rook a7, they still check. King up. Queen takes. Oh no, but we do have like rook there, right? So maybe we just go like rook a7. But they always have like bishop e3. Yeah, but then I guess you check behind and win the bishop. I think rook a7 could be a shout. It's so sketchy though. It's so sketchy. Check, they can just take for starters, right? Which I think we discussed. I don't see any other tricks, really. We discussed this doesn't work. So rook a7 has to be it. And you give up the queen. Well, you're not even giving up the queen because, like I said, you've got this. And then you've got, like, rook a8. And then rook a7, and you pick up the bishop somehow, maybe. So rook a7. And by the way, rook a7 works because the king can't come to c8. Rather than rook b7, the king can come to c8. Then you go to rook a7. The rook's too far away for any of that to stop it. And let's say they try be proactive and go like bishop g8, say. Then maybe rook h6. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think the rook being able to go to a7 is purposefully done. But then I'm trying to metagame the bloody puzzles, and that's not the way we do things. I'm gonna go rook a7. No, it's not. Okay, I'm not surprised by that, to be honest. Ooh, do we take? Interesting idea. Very interesting idea, actually. With this. And we pick up the rook. If they try go for something like this, we just pick up the rook. And if they ignore, then we have this, which looks evil. And then we pick up the rook. Yeah. Bosh. 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 Puzzle 49. Can we get to 50? Hopefully so. I think it's got to be forcing because they've got checks. They have a variety of checks on these three squares. The good news is the kings can't really do much. So we have these G5 mating threats potentially. We could try something like Queen F5. Which is interesting because after these checks, they actually have nothing. For starters, they can't even go D7, but they have nothing after these two checks. And we're threatening mate. So they would have to go to C4. And then we can think about G5. Forcing king takes. And then check. Check does work. But then the king comes back up. And I'm not amazingly happy with that. But I think Queen F5 looks nice, at least. Forcing Queen C4. Slight problem. Queen C7 check, and then they go there, check. Forces the queens off. Okay. Yeah, slight problem with that then. So maybe just King H6 and we proactively block the checks. Because they have no dark square checks on C1. And then this is just mate, right? So they have to be in control of F6. And they have to stay on the 6th rank because of G5, mate. And if they play G4, then we just go check. Do we go check? King H6, G4. Check. King up. Yeah, and then check, and then mate. Right, so where do they go then? They have to like move the queen. But we also have this threat as well, which is huge. So I would suggest they go here to allow the queen to go to F4. But then after that, we have G5. They go to F4, we have G5, which forks the king and the queen. I think that's smart. We tried. I thought that worked. For the record, I thought that worked. Let's see what's wrong. 49, I'll take 49 for sure. Not bad. Not bad. Almost at 50. There were some ones I don't really understand in that. This one I knew the minute I did it. You go there and you take this because this is still mate. Which I should have seen. You know, it's very simple. I should have seen that. I tried to go for this. Completely forgot that bishops exist. And attack diagonally. Which is a shame. What is this one? Oh yeah, beyond my comprehension, I think. We might just have to see the solution, folks. What? Whoa. Whoa. Excuse me? Excuse me. Please, sir. Please. What on earth? There seems like so many variations to this. Check for starters, right? Rook takes G1. Oh, the problem is you take the bishop at the end. Ah. And if queen takes, then you have rook c5. What? Rook c5? Excuse me. Oh, because the rook's pinned. Duh. Duh. Yeah. Ooh, that's actually tricky. Then you go there. And then you just take the queen. Wow. Wow. Actually kind of cool. I take back what I was saying about this puzzle. This is actually a great move. I really am a fan of that. That's clever. So king takes and then takes. Yeah. You're not going anywhere, bub. You can go there. Sure. But the queen covers e3. And then the rook is... the bishop's still pinned. So, yeah. Where are we? This one. I thought we cracked this one, to be honest. I'm a bit disappointed we didn't. Let's see the solution. Oh, you do go there? Oh, same thing, but with the check you have g5. Okay. I think we went through that line. I stopped. I shouldn't have stopped. I should have kept going. I should have seen that g5 was possible. What is wrong with my answer? Of king h6. Queen c5. Oh, c5 blocks queen f5 by going here. Yep. And it still stops g5. Clever. And it stops c4. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's a good move. But queen f5, which is the simple solution, I thought fell victim to queen c4. Was it queen c4 there? What did I think actually here? Oh, it was this, yeah. And if you go down, I just repeat, I think. So you go king h6 and then this and then g5, which I saw in some lines. I don't know why I didn't apply it to this one, but anyway, that was fun. That was very fun. I enjoyed myself there. 49 is not bad at all. We'll take that. Stay tuned for some more league game analysis. Some good games coming up. You would not want to miss them. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all later. Bye-bye.